Welcome everyone to this edition of the Bite-Sized Project Manager podcast. I'm David Barrett. I'm the principal and the founder of ProjectBites.com. Great to have you here, and thank you for joining us. This podcast is all about 20-minute units of inspiration and education for project managers. We're here to learn from some of our very best speakers on this platform who have got a lot of content there. But let's have a little chat with them, and I'm thrilled today to have Barrett Cinelli joining us as our guest. Jonathan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, David. It's an honor and a pleasure to share space with you.
It's great to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my friend first, and then let's get into it. Let's learn, pick his brain, and take something away that can help us all be better project managers tomorrow. Barrett Cinelli is an author, a brain-based executive coach with a background in business and project management. He leans into decades of experience within the construction industry, which makes him a little not unusual, but unique on our platform. He is the author of Kick Your Ego Aside and Put People First, and the contributing author of The Keys to Our Success. He's also a podcast host of People First and Then Construction. I love it. Jonathan, you review your titles, and I had a list a moment ago of some of the titles that you have on our platform. Tell Me More, Put Your Phone Away and Lead, The People Always Come First, Mastering the People Side of Project Management. There seems to be a thread here of the word people. I chatting with you before with the recording we started, you said, my foundation is trust. Can you peel that back just a little bit on if you, it seems, I said, give me one word about you, Barrett Cinelli. It's the word trust. Why? What is that?
But trust, David, is the underpinning of everything we do. In every conversation, every relationship in life, and in everything, without trust, nothing else occurs. When trust is present, you blindly go to bat for people. You blindly believe in people. Things get done, things get executed. Why? Because I trust that David's got my back and he's going to do what he says he's going to do. He's going to have his integrity to himself and to others.
So,
trust.
so this theme of yours is all about giving people the bandwidth to do what they do, to delegate well. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about delegation, and great delegation doesn't come without trust, does it? But success on projects, people working together, if we don't trust each other, if that's what I'm hearing you say, nothing's going to happen. Is that right?
Right. Well, every relationship in life, without trust, it doesn't flourish. Never mind sustain itself. It collapses. So what is it? What is a project? It's a bunch of relationships all melded together. I mean, you use your word in the past. I love how you say this is, as a project manager, we're integrators. What do you got to do? You got to integrate those relationships, integrate those personalities. Well, how can I integrate a personality if I don't understand who's in front of me?
I understand that. It's pretty important. But, the devil's advocate in me says, listen, I don't need to trust you. I just want you to do your work. Then maybe I trust that you're going to do your work, but I don't want to be a micromanager. But I guess in order for me to sleep well at night, I guess I got to figure that my team's going to do what they're going to do, and there becomes the underlying theme of trust, isn't it?
Of course. Now, you don't have to be a micromanager to trust somebody. And yes, absolutely. There's boundaries and expectations. David, you expect this from me. You expect me to do my job within these boundaries and parameters to do so. Great. And if we're not connected, if I don't know, if I've never been part of your world and don't understand anything about you, then trust will never occur. And without trust, I mean, is the job going to get done? Perhaps. Is it going to get done to the expectations of others? Maybe not. But uncommunicated expectations turn into resentments because, I thought Jonathan was going to do it this way, but he didn't. Well, why? Right? It's the same word is thrown around. Why? Well, because you didn't connect with him. You didn't understand what was going on. You didn't ask the questions.
And that connection is so important, isn't it? You talk about being present. What do you mean by being present in a project? Is this how I build that trust? Or just being present, hey, you can see me, I'm here, or is it the phone call every week, or what does being present mean to you?
Well, great question. And it depends on the factors. And I want to couple that and echo it to say there's a big difference between physically being present, like, hey, here I am, to actually being present to say, David, what's going on in your world, man? Like, tell me a little bit about what's going on. Tell me about, things that have occurred to you. And I'm not just talking professionally, I'm talking the personal things. Because, this is what's going on in life, because that has a direct impact on our project, consciously or subconsciously. But yet we live in a world of distraction and dings and bigs and buzzes, right? So we get pulled and there goes the shiny squirrel, there goes the shiny bird. That's the opposite of what we need to occur.
We need to focus. We need to focus on our people.
Yeah.
I love that. I've often said, building relationships, trust on your team isn't just how is work going, but being in touch with the rest of their lives as well, being in touch and understanding what is going on outside the office walls or outside the Zoom or Teams walls. Isn't that the case? Dig down, get to know your people, build a relationship that's over and above the thanks, you did a good job.
Yeah, because you touched on something huge there. The thanks, you did a good job. Guess what? People become immune to it after a while, right?
Oh,
There's,
yeah.
I call it 3 levels of gratitude. There's the thank you, right? There's a thank you and there's the thank you and how did it create an impact? Hey, David, thanks. But thanks for what? Eventually that wears off. You're like, stop saying thanks. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
isn't it
thanks for
interesting?
taking this task on because it actually made a difference to allow me to finish my piece of work. That's level 2. Level 3 is thank you for continuing to do the work you're doing. You may not realize it, except the impact it's having on this team is it's keeping everybody together, and that's making life easier. Now that's
Ex-
real.
It is real. Expanding that thanks rather than thanks, here's your reward for the week. What I'm hearing you say is connect the thank you, connect the gratitude to what we're doing as a team, to all of the pieces of the puzzle, including the non-personal or the personal and the non-personal as well. That's
Of
interesting.
course. So when you acknowledge folks and when we identify the impact that they're having on on the project or the folks around them, that's what lasts. That's what makes a difference, right? Memories are created because of emotions that are attached to it. And when we attach emotion, like, hey, you're actually making a difference, and here's how that shows up. Wow. Do I realize how important I are, how respected I am, and how much of an impact I'm actually making on the job, right?
Right, right. That personal connection is really important. Listen, I've heard people say that listening skills in project managers are so important. We have to listen better. Many of us don't listen. I'm guilty. Many PMs think they are good listeners, and I ask you then, when, where do we get this wrong? When people say I'm a great listener, what's really happening out there? Is this something that first of all, do you agree that listening is a skill that that many of us lack, even though we think we don't? And where do we get this wrong?
I'm smiling because absolutely agree, especially coming from the construction world where listening is, one of the fundamental underpinnings of everything. And so many folks, "Ah, I'm a great listener." First of all, what does that actually mean? Because good listening to you might mean good listening something different to me. But where people get it wrong, if I was able to summarize it, I think you asked a good question. Where do most folks get it wrong? A good listener, my perspective, and I welcome anybody to challenge me on this, is digging for the gold. And what that actually means to me is I'm listening for what's not being said. We hear that, but what is that? What is that? There's human beings, we always emit energy and there's always something else, right? So there's I use this word purposely always. There's always an ask. When you're listening to somebody, dig for the gold. What's their actual ask? What's their actual, and then how do you get there, right? Okay, great, Jonathan. What does that mean? How do you start you lead with curiosity and you ask questions. Oh, what do you mean by that? Okay, tell me more. 3 huge words. Tell me more.
It's not easy. I had a conversation with a child recently where you could it was audio phone, Facebook, FaceTime, you knew there was something there and you just couldn't grab it. And the art of asking the right questions, listening between the lines, listening to what's not being said occurred to me right then, and said, there's something we're not getting. Now, if it's a child, it's pretty easy to say, okay, what gives? But it's hard. It's hard to recognize the signals, and it's hard to then dig down. Especially, Jonathan, when maybe it's not proper to dig in a bit. And we get into a professional environment when we're trying to figure out what's not being said. And if it's a personal matter, if it's a behavioral issue, if it's a performance issue, sometimes there's a line there we have to be careful about drawing. So this, find out what's not being said, read between the lines, dig down, dig for the gold. Good words, a little tougher than in reality, isn't it?
Yeah, and can I unpack that a little bit? You said something, we have to respect that line, right? How we respect that line, folks, is we ask for permission. Hey, I'm sensing there's something else here. With your permission, may I dig in? May I ask another question? Like, it doesn't have, it can be, you can frame it the way you need to frame it, folks. Everybody's got their own verbiage, right? But when you ask for permission, and guess what? If the answer is no, I don't want to go down, then you respect that and you peel back. But you just dug for the gold. So I'm not going to berate this person and keep going after them. I know that there's something else there. And now my job is to leave with curiosity and support them. And hey, cool. Is there something else? Is there something else? And guess what? Over time, when you form trust, that's going to squeak out.
It is, isn't
You
it?
talk about a child. A child's a great example because whether we're talking about a 5-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old child, or a 40, 50, 60-year-old human, it doesn't matter. It's just the verbiage and the language in which we connect changes. That's all that changes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Certainly, there's a difference between a child that is, that was born and raised in your own household. Sometimes the rules are a little different, but on a professional front, yeah, sometimes it's just the same. It's the same thing. I like that idea of asking for permission, and there's a connection issue there. I've heard often you talk about the idea of connecting. This trust business, its presence and its connection. Give me a little bit more about those two words in your life. It's all about presence and connection.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, without presence, you don't have connection, and without connection, you don't have trust. So
Okay.
let's start with presence. Like presence is wholeheartedly, I'm reaching for this device that keeps us so attached. Put it away, folks. You're with somebody, put it in your pocket, out of sight. That's number one for presence. That's something easy that people can do. Like if I'm going to go to, and don't put it on a table, out of sight. That's presence. On silent.
I will just interject for our listeners for a moment by saying he actually has a video on Project Bites, and they're all 20-minute units of video of Jonathan talking, and his presentation is "Put the Phone Away." I think that's the title of it, leading right to put the phone away, pay attention, be present, isn't it?
Yeah. And if I'm talking, I'll use the job site because that's construction, right? If I'm talking to somebody, it's not looking over their shoulder. It's looking head up, shoulders back, looking them in the eye. That's presence. Now we're connecting. And not only are we connecting at a verbal level, but we're subconsciously emitting connection, right? To energy in the same space. Okay, now all of a sudden the armor drops a little bit. Okay, I'm going to allow Jonathan in consciously or subconsciously, and that's going to organically form trust.
Yeah. Yeah. It all connects, doesn't it? You've got to have one for the other. Absolutely. Interesting. You come from an industry that, I got to be careful here, maybe does not respect, doesn't pay attention to, doesn't give a lot of time to the soft skills of leadership. Isn't that the case?
True. Yes. And there's so many considerations and evaluations. Sure, because we're fixers, right? Especially in construction and mostly traditionally male dominated, which is even heavier. Just give me a job and I do it and I'll fix it. I'm a problem solver. Project manager, problem solver. fix it, fix it, fix it. So what escapes down the line is that human to human connection. And we've seen this, it's cyclical. It goes on and folks get treated like widgets and dismissed and the next job comes along. Well,
It's a very contractual based industry, isn't it? Everything is written down. Everything is in black and white. Is that the not the problem, but for the people side of our business, it's so the opposite, isn't it? It's not contractual. It's not written down. We have no agreement to behave with each other or to learn from each other or to coach or mentor or lead. It's a very different side of the puzzle. Maybe your industry is not, and not just construction. Any of these industries are just not, doesn't fit.
I took a deep breath there, right? Because yes, that's very common framework. Well, it's in your contract. Read your contract. Okay, but now, Dave, we come back to what's your ask? What do you really want? Yeah, you're throwing the contract, but what is the ask? Well, I'd like this done this way. Okay, now we can have a different conversation, right? And now all of a sudden I'm connected because it's again, now I'm connecting as a human being. Is it always about time? Is it always, time, scope, mind? It doesn't matter. But again, what's your ask? Okay, cool. Now I know. Now I know. And we can create a new reality together, right?
What's your ask? Maybe can I rephrase that into what's most important to you today? It may not be a question mark ask, but it's
Sure.
what's going on in your life that is most important that we can work with that I need to know. What is your ask? What is your biggest requirement? We talked about communication skills, and I did a presentation last night to a PMI chapter out west, and we talked about the need to know your audience and understand what their needs are today and what's bugging them the most. And without that, you're never going to communicate properly, are you?
That's right, because somebody's volleying the information to you because it's being pushed downstream upon them from somewhere, something in time, right? What is that? Right? I love that. What's important to you right now? Or what's important to you today? Well, we can unpack that.
And how can I help? And how can we make it easier for you? And in any environment, we all have our days, our good days and our bad days. And even on the good days, it's something that maybe we can leverage. Great. If that's what's going on, then let's work together and expand and or leverage it. But if something's going right, I should say, but if something's going wrong, how can we help?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. The idea of leadership in a construction environment, let's go back to that moment because leadership is important in all these environments, but do we have a problem with leadership in that type of project environment? Is it just do it? This is a list of your action items. There's the wall, there's the building, there's the hole. Get it done. Thank you very much. Or does leadership take a back seat in your environment?
Leadership takes a backseat if you allow it to. And it changes the moment you set boundaries and expectations. Here are my expectations. How you accomplish this task within the boundaries or parameters, that's totally up to you. My expectations are vividly clear here, right? Is there room for slippage? Maybe, maybe not, but let's be vividly clear. After that, stay within this realm. And that's it. The leadership.
That's leadership. That is leadership. That is leading by setting an example, by giving great instructions, by the coaching, the mentoring, by the delegation. That's leadership, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Do I run the risk as a leader, Jonathan, of being too soft if I really want to focus on your project bites and listen to what you've got to say, because it's all about the people side? Do I run the risk of being known as maybe being a little indecisive or soft? Is there a risk of how I will be perceived if I really start to study this body of knowledge about the people side of getting project work done?
When you make it about them, and like I say, make it about the person in front of you, you learn pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood at some point in their life, right? It's something. Now, you take a temperature reading. What's going on? What's really going on right now? Maybe today is not the day to be soft on this person. Maybe today is the day they need a little bit more assertiveness, right? Maybe today, this person who more times than not responds to leave him alone and let Jonathan do his job needs a little bit of a check-in. So, is it being soft? No. It's being curious and it's checking on people. And it's becoming part of their world. Like if I know what wires David and what triggers David, and I see something's off, that's not me being soft. That's me being curious. Hey man, I noticed that you're a little bit different today. What's really going on?
Yeah.
That's not being soft.
It's being a great leader. It's being a really good leader. There is another answer to that question that you could have given me, which was, David, don't be stupid. It was a dumb question. Yeah, honestly, give me a break. Leading people, getting to know them, building trust, being present, getting connected to more than even just their to-do list. Building that relationship is critical in any type of project, in any project environment that you and I work for. I hear you. And it's something that we need to spend more time on. We get too busy, don't we, Jonathan? We get too busy. We get too focused on the end result. We panic. We have to deal with so many changes. We have to deal with budget cuts and quality and scope cuts. And, it's just, we forget about the people, don't we? They're that critical piece.
Right. Right.
This was really good, Jonathan. Thank you. Listen, I'm going to ask you one last question. And you were a contributor to the book, The Keys to Our Success. When I went out and asked people, what's the one key nugget you take into every project that makes you successful? I'm going to ask that to you again. You look back now, and you contributed to that book, 15 years ago? Well, let's update the answer. I'm not sure what your answer was, but you could remind me. I could go right to the back and grab that orange book right there and look you up in the index. But either what did you answer then, and is it still true today, or what's the update? What's that one piece that you take in every project? If I could get one piece of advice from you as a current day project manager, what would it be?
Thank you. You're making me smile because you're pulling on the heartstrings in my memory. And 15 years ago, my word hasn't changed. It's evolved a little bit. But the one thing I take in every single project is humbleness. Humble first and make it about them. And that changed. It has and continues to change everything in every relationship in my life.
That's talking to me. I mean, that's really good. That rings bells. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Cinelli out of Toronto, Canada. He's got some great bites on ProjectBites, by the way. Tell me more. People always come first. Mastering the people side of project management. Competence, confidence, cockiness on your project. I like that. The misunderstood 7-letter word that plagues every project. What is that 7-letter word? Do you remember? Culture. Oh, wonderful, wonderful video. Folks, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here and being a part of our video, our podcast series, the project-sized or the bite-sized project manager. Jonathan Cinelli, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you, David.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I'm David Barrett. Please stay tuned to ProjectBites.com. Subscribe, get your chapter to cut a license, talk to your organization about joining us in a corporate license as well. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.